There was a time when Robert De Niro stood as the definition of acting greatness. 2 Academy Awards, decades of legendary films, and a reputation so commanding, his name alone could carry a movie.
Me and all the other actors and everyone on the film, all the love and trust that anyone could give anyone, and it's just wonderful as a director.
He was once Hollywood royalty, but somewhere in the 2020s, De Niro's focus shifted. His career, once defined by art, became dominated by outrage. It all began at the 2018 Tony Awards. De Niro stepped on stage, paused for a moment, and declared,
"Fuck Trump."
The audience erupted in cheers. The rest of America? Not so much. From that night forward, De Niro doubled down, transforming from cinematic legend to political firebrand. In a 2019 interview with The Guardian, he called Trump supporters beyond hope, and in 2020, he told the Daily Beast he hoped Trump would die in prison. The headlines that once praised his performances now amplified his rage, and slowly his films began to fade into the background. By the time Amsterdam released in 2022, a film with an $80 million budget and an all-star cast, it grossed only $14.9 million worldwide. About My Father in 2023 did even worse, earning just $12 million. And in 2025, The Alto Knights, a dual-role gangster epic, barely crossed $10 million on a $45 million budget. One critic summed it up perfectly. Analysts began labeling De Niro's image as box office poison for middle America. Even lifelong fans began to ask, when was the last time he played a character that wasn't just himself? Then came Shia LaBeouf, the man once hailed as the next DiCaprio. He went from Disney Channel to Michael Bay's Transformers juggernaut, turning a teenage star into a billion-dollar franchise icon overnight. But instead of building on that success, he self-destructed. In 2017, just days after Trump's inauguration, LaBeouf launched a performance art protest called "He Will Not Divide Us." The idea? Invite the public to chant the phrase into a live camera feed 24/7. What followed was chaos. Far-right trolls hijacked the stream, fights broke out, and LaBeouf himself was arrested on camera after shoving a man who shouted, "Within weeks, the museum shut the project down." It wouldn't be his last meltdown. In 2019, he locked himself in a cabin, watching all his movies in isolation, calling it performance art. But what came next wasn't art, it was collapse. In December 2020, musician FKA Twigs sued LaBeouf for sexual battery, assault, and emotional abuse. Netflix immediately dropped him from pieces of a woman's awards campaign. His agency CAA cut ties, and Hollywood quietly turned away. Since then, LaBeouf has vanished from the mainstream, reduced to fringe art house projects, haunted by a career that burned too bright and ended too soon. Next, Jussie Smollett. Once a rising star on Empire, Smollett became a symbol of progress. One of the first openly gay black leads on primetime TV. By 2018, he earned $125,000 per episode and was poised to become a powerhouse, actor-producer. But in January 2019, that all changed. At 2 a.m. in Chicago, Smollett reported he'd been attacked. 2 masked men, bleach poured over him, a noose placed around his neck, and a chilling phrase shouted, "Celebrities and politicians rushed to support him." But then, the story cracked. Footage surfaced. Phone records didn't match, and investigators discovered the attackers. 2 Nigerian brothers Smollett had paid $3,500 to stage the incident. By February, he was charged with filing a false police report. The charges briefly vanished in March, but by 2020, a grand jury re-indicted him. In 2021, he was found guilty on 5 felony counts of disorderly conduct, sentenced to 150 days in jail, 30 months probation, and over $120,000 in restitution. Fox cut him from Empire's final season. No studio has hired him since. Once framed as a face of courage, his name now stands for the worst kind of performance, the one no one believes. Then came Captain America himself, Chris Evans. For nearly a decade, he was the symbol of American virtue. Clean-cut, heroic, beloved by millions. But when he hung up the shield, Evans traded patriotism for politics. In 2020, he launched A Starting Point, a platform meant to educate voters. But quickly, his message sharpened into division. During the Lightyear press tour in 2022, Evans responded to backlash over the film's same-sex kiss scene.
But those people die off like dinosaurs.
The internet exploded. Lightyear was banned in 14 countries and grossed only $226 million worldwide, barely breaking even against its massive budget. Deadline later reported Disney lost $16 million. one of Pixar's worst results ever. Evans doubled down, calling critics backward and frustrating. To fans, the message was clear. If you disagreed, you didn't belong. Since then, the Gray Man and Ghosted underperformed. Evans remains active, but no longer unifying. The man once saluted by millions now feels like he's only talking to one side. Mark Ruffalo. For a decade, he was the heart of Marvel's Avengers. The thoughtful scientist, the gentle giant. But off-screen, Ruffalo became known less for his calm, and more for his causes. Between 2016 and 2022, he used his platform to attack capitalism, billionaires, fossil fuels, and even Disney itself. Then came the tweet that changed everything. During the 2021 Israel-Gaza conflict, Ruffalo tweeted,
"Permanent ceasefire in Gaza."
The backlash was instant, global, furious. Days later, he deleted it. Progressives called him a coward. Conservatives called him dangerous. And Disney quietly scaled back his appearances. After Endgame, his only Marvel return was in She-Hulk, a series panned for political preaching. Outside the MCU, his career has been quiet. Streaming roles, small indies, passion projects. Ruffalo still tweets daily. Against billionaires, against systems, against silence. But Hollywood has largely moved on. For now, Bruce Banner may remain his last great roar. Then came John Boyega, the Star Wars hero who symbolized hope, change, and representation. As Finn, he was the face of the sequel trilogy's diversity era. But by 2020, that light dimmed. At a Black Lives Matter protest, Boyega gave an impassioned speech that went viral. But just days later, his GQ interview changed everything.
I just catch the eyes of individual black people, especially black men, and we're talking about certain...
Boyega accused Disney of sidelining his character because of race. Disney stayed silent, and Boyega quietly vanished from franchises. Since then, he's appeared only in streaming titles like... They cloned Tyrone in indie films like Breaking and The Woman King. He insists it's by choice, but to Hollywood insiders, it looks like exile. The boy who held a lightsaber now holds his independence, and nothing more. Finally, Ray Fisher, the cyborg who fought his own studio. When Justice League hit theaters in 2017, Fisher was on the brink of superstardom. But in 2020, he ignited a war against Warner Brothers. He accused director Joss Whedon of abusive behavior, and claimed studio executives enabled a toxic, racist environment.
So it imbues him with super strength, super durability. He can fly. He can interface with anything technological.
Fisher's stand earned headlines and blacklisting. By 2021, Warner Brothers confirmed he'd been written out of The Flash. His Hollywood career ended before it began. Since then, he's only appeared in Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon, far from the superhero stage he once commanded. Fisher wanted to change the system, but the system simply changed the channel. When fame turns political, the fall of Hollywood's activist era. Subscribe for more breakdowns from ex-Hollywood mistakes, because behind every spotlight, there's always a shadow.